Cheers. Clink. Okay, so welcome to day 36 of my daily lockdown videos, which I'm doing to keep track of the weird times we're living in, to keep myself sane, and also so that we can keep each other company. And today, I thought that it might be a nice idea for me to have a big glass of wine and talk to you about all the things that annoy me about Animal Crossing. Now, I need to be explicit up front here and tell you that I love Animal Crossing, right? I love Animal Crossing, but mate, who are we if we can't pick to pieces the things we love? I love doing that. I love doing that. If I love a film, if I love a TV show, then you can guarantee I'm gonna mouth off to Ben about all of the little things that I nitpick. I love to nitpick, and Ben hates it. Ben hates it because he is quite defensive about the things he likes. So sometimes I make the mistake of like nitpicking the things that he likes as a form of love, and he gets really angry at me and he hates it. He hates it. Anyway. Animal Crossing, if you didn't know, where have you been? Under a rock? How far away can you get from it when we're all locked indoors? It's the latest version of a Nintendo Switch game where you like have a cute little villager and you have cute little animal villagers and you make a little town and stuff, and it's super cute and everything like that. But there's some stuff about it that's absolutely reprehensible. So what I'm going to do is talk about some of those. And then, yeah, I mean, don't call me out on any of them or ask me to back up my opinion on them because I'll cry. Okay, so the first one, and I feel like a lot of people have this problem, is it's too chatty, right? Now, I know. It's supposed to be cute and chatty, it's supposed to be conversational, it's supposed to let you slow down, but there are times when that's just not. The conversations are broken, okay? There's conversational dialogue, and then there's trying to get to someone's island and having to go through 5 different conversational branches with the dodo when you could have put them all on the first screen and like sped the whole thing up, right? There's no need to have to like make it conversational by breaking up a whole decision chain into like 4 or 5 separate windows, and if at any time you cancel any of them, you have to go back to the very beginning. That's broken, that's dumb. Even like, where I sit, right, is I love the cute characters, so I don't want to shit all over them, but there are certain characters that are worse for this than others. Case in point, the dodos. Case in point, Blathers. Right? But they're the ones that you need to interact with the most, so you think that maybe they would give them a little bit of a tweak to like speed them up. There are little things that are done for like slowing down that I don't mind as much, like, you know, when you go into the town hall and Isabel and Tom are doing something else, and when you get to the counter they come over. That's cute, right? That's a cute way to pace it out. But yeah, the dialogue decision tree type thing, it's broken. It's all broken. And speaking of like broken systems, in this one you can craft, but alright, so you can do crafting. To craft you need materials. If you're carrying too many materials, then in your house you can put them in your storage, so then you can build up loads of materials in your storage. To craft, you need to go into your storage, put them back in your pockets, then go to the crafting table and then do it. I feel like crafting is not a new game feature, right? Like, so many games have crafting in it. That's just such a small tweak to let you... such a small tweak that I feel like it's going to be patched, right? It's going to be something they include, because why wouldn't you? I don't see that can't be a deliberate choice. It has to be an oversight, right? Like, the fact that in order to make something, you need to either have the stuff already on you or you need to get it out of somewhere. That's dumb, right? Although, I say that, but it's not like you could do that in, say, Minecraft, right? But considering that you're crafting in your house and there's not really somewhere you need to go, the storage in your house can be accessed at any time from any point. It's like a menu that you only get in your house. It's not like you have to go over to a chest or go over to a storage cabinet or something. So the fact that it doesn't do that automatically is like, God, I've got dozens of stacks of wood in my storage, and some of these crafting items take like 4 different ingredients. You need to make sure that you remember what those 4 ingredients are so that you can get them out of storage, so that when you go back, you can craft the thing you need to craft. And it's just silly. It's silly. It's silly. Next up, wood. Right, so there's 3 different kinds of wood you can use as crafting materials in this game, right? And one of those kinds of wood is just standard wood, and that gets used far more than anything else. Like that normal kind of wood, you'll use a lot of that. Use it to make tools, use it to make some of the most attractive furniture. That's the kind of wood that is going to come up a lot. So you really get through it, so you don't really build up any reserves of it. Every single tree, regardless, there's 3 different kinds of trees. They all drop the same kind of wood, and that is an equal drop rate of all 3 kinds of wood. So in case that's not making sense, I feel like I just said wood a lot. Every time you chop down a tree, you'll have an equal chance of getting one of 3 different kinds of wood. So when you're collecting up wood, you're going to have about the same amount of all 3 kinds of wood. One of them is used substantially more than the other 2. So now I've ended up with none of the wood that I use all the time, and stacks of the other 2 kinds of wood in my storage because I never use it. So the fact that you can't, chop certain wood from a certain tree means that I'm just getting more and more and more of these other kinds of wood that I'm not going to use, and then I still don't have enough wood to do things with. Like, I can't... If I need to make an ironwood kitchenette so that I can send it to my boyfriend because he doesn't have that recipe himself yet, I'd rather just be able to do it rather than have to go out and get the materials every time. That's part of what that's part of what like gathering all the materials in advance is about, right? Like having a nice store of them. But no, can't do that. You can do it for everything but wood. And speaking of chopping things down and whatever, the tools are too inaccurate. Like all of them, the building tools, the like landscaping tools, they're so inaccurate, right? Like, it's really hard to point your character in exactly the place that you want it to be, hard to judge that you're standing in the right place to hit because the game map is divided into like a grid system. Everything is a square, apart from you're not restricted to what square you're standing on, and it doesn't show you where these squares are, so you kind of have to guess. You'd think that at least in the landscaping, if you turned on landscaping mode, it would give you like a visual of that grid, seeing as everything is based around that grid, if you're putting down water, or if you're building up a cliff, but no. That as well is like one of the most inaccurate things, honestly. I have no idea how people make such gorgeous islands. It's mental. Not just like the skill and creativity, I mean, and that's a whole nother beast of its own. I mean the patience, like, because the animations for these things are so slow as well. Again, I guess it's just, pacing, squeezing it all out. But while we're in the mood to talk about construction, right? Inclines and bridges. Separate them out. I'm tired of having to wait until my bridge is finished to build an incline. They're different things. Tom. Like, and also, like, if I want to destroy one, I have to wait until I can build the other, and everything's just so... Like, I don't time travel, but I can really understand the reasoning behind it. The fact that you have to wait a day for something to be destroyed so that you can wait a day for something else to be built. And the houses as well, moving your villagers' houses is a nightmare. I moved one villager's house, her name's Pioki, she's very cute, and I put her house one row, you remember that grid we were talking about? One row incorrect. But now, so I can't move her house back because things take a day, and I can't make her new house location where her house already is because it's only one row off. So now what I'm going to have to do is move her house twice, which will cost me 100,000 bells, to then move her house somewhere else, and then the next day move it back again to basically the same place but just shove the row. It's not her fault. I do resent her for it a bit. I did it, right, but she sort of represents this house that isn't perfectly aligned to her neighbour. There could be fossils behind there. How am I going to know? I can't dig up the fossils. I can't see what I'm doing. No, terrible. And then it's been like that for like a week because I just forget to do it. And that's my fault, but it's not my fault. Like, it should be done already. And speaking of other people's houses, speaking of animals' houses, they've all got much better furniture than me. When's the flea market? You remember in Wild World, they had a flea market and you could just go in and be like, how much for that? When are they going to do that again? Because that was great. And I have a villager called Anka, and she's got this like really cool ancient Egypt type furniture and loads of gold stuff. And like, I've got money, Anka. Money's not a problem. I want your furniture. Give it to me. And it's almost like they've done this thing now where if you go in and you try and grab some of their furniture, they're like, oh yeah, that's my golden pyramid. I'm glad you like it. And I'm like, I want it, like let me buy it. But there's just not an option. And I don't know, maybe if I go in there every day and touch the same thing, then eventually she'll just send it to me as a present to make me stop coming to her house. And speaking of coming to my house, wait, what? The campsite. Why is no one ever at the campsite? That was like the first thing I had to like get built. Nobody's ever there. Are they supposed to visit like once a week or something? Because it's been longer than that since someone was announced to be visiting my campsite. Or is it literally, is it built just for amiibo characters to visit? You know, like amiibos or the amiibo cards and stuff like that. Is that what it's for? Am I being an idiot? Have I been waiting and waiting and waiting for strangers to visit when they're never gonna? How much are those cards? I mean, if they're any more than £5, I'm not buying them, but still, it would be nice to get a bit of variety. Then again, I don't really hate anyone in my village. They're all nice and cute, you know. I hate Phil. No, yeah, I do hate Phil. The worst part being he hasn't really done anything wrong. He's just like the least liked, so I see him as, you know, not belonging there. Also, I don't get any shooting stars. I haven't seen a single shooting star yet to wish on. Celeste has been in... Celeste? We'll go Celeste for now. Celeste has been in my town like 3 times, and whenever she's there, she's like, oh, here's this recipe so that you can make with bits of stars. And I'm like, great, thank you for coming. That's really lovely of you. And then I don't see any stars and I don't get any materials. Like, luckily, friends have been able to send me wands, so I can still, you know, change my fresh garms on the reg, but I need to be able to craft the fancy zodiac objects. I've got a recipe for like I think it might be an Aries something, I really don't remember. But then I know that I need to play the game at night more often, and probably with the sound on, in order to get shooting stars. But that's just putting the problem back on me. Like... Just make them more obvious or spawn more of them. I see a lot of people say that they've... Oh, frog in my throat. I see a lot of people say that they've got shooting stars while they fish. And that's, you know... Maybe I should start fishing. And the most obvious one, the biggest one, right, that has to be reworked at some point. It has to. It's just the multiplayer interface, right? Like the whole having to shut everyone down and play everyone in the village a cutscene at the same time. I would love to just see the thought process behind that. Like, is it something to do with the save state that everyone's in? Something to do with the state of the island and the items in it and stuff? Is it to stop some kind of cheating? Like, when you're making a game so that 8 people can be in the same village at once, on what green earth do you think that it's a good idea to have to make everyone do that? Like, that's crazy. Like, if you haven't played it, basically, when someone comes over to your village, your game gets paused and you get shown an animation of them like flying in, and then once that's done, which could, at least off the top of my head, I'd say takes at least 20 to 30 seconds, then they get into your town. one person. When the next person comes, the same thing happens to both of you because you're both in the town. So now both of you are paused, waiting. You've got to wait for like 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds for this animation to play while someone else gets there. Now, if you leave the standard way, and I say the standard way because we'll talk around it in a minute, but if you go back to the airport to leave someone's island when you're on your way out, it does the same thing. So that's, every time someone visits, you have to sit through those two animations either side of when they're there, and so does everyone else on the island. So if you've got like 7 people on the island, and they've all arrived one by one, then you know, you've been sitting and waiting for like 5 minutes of just everyone just like arriving, getting there, watching their planes come down and stuff, and then, you know, on the other end of it, you would have to do it again. But the good thing is, if you own the island, I think, you can kick everyone all at once. So that's the sensible way to do it. Just send them all home by like ending the session. But just for a game that was really selling itself on multiplayer, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why does your multiplayer work like that? It's outrageous. Oh, outrageous. God, I love that game. I've spent so much time in it. So much time. And like, it's really kind of cemented some of my, you know, online friendships and stuff as well. It's been really neat. I'm in a little group chat where we're all talking about it constantly and, you know, sharing stuff and coming up with fun little things to do together. I love it so much. It's really like doing a good job of keeping me company in these times, I think. Like, I have real life friends I'm talking to and shit, but they're not as passionate about the games I like as these other people are, and I'm really like sharing it with them. It's good. It's just nice. It's like a little community feeling, right? And also it means I make bare dollars on the stalk market as well, which is selling turnips. Paid off my house, paid off my mortgage. It's all part of the fantasy. I'm not going to do that in real life. Don't even have a mortgage, don't have a deposit saved. Now that all of the ice has melted into this, it's starting to taste pretty watery. I'm going to finish up here. As I said, love this game, but there's so much fun in picking apart the things you love. Okay, bye.